Jonathan, a senior. Share the live with your friends. Share the live with your family. Let me see if we can get some folks to join the live. Yeah, share up the live. We're gonna be starting in a little bit. Let's just see how much people we could get here. Don't be shy. Let me know if y'all hear any music. Are y'all hear any music? Let me tell this a little bit. A little Frank Ocean, you know? Yeah, a little Frank Ocean. Greetings to everybody coming into the live. We're excited about today's little chat we have with Jonathan Villaroel. Hello, Vonette. Hello. As we wait, what folks had for lunch today? Don't ask me what I had for lunch. I had the same thing I had 2 days ago when we had the live, because I meal prep. So next week my meal will change. Alright, so we're going to be starting in a few minutes. For those persons who don't know what we're doing here, why we live, we are having conversations with, fellows in the Amplify Connect Creative Social Enterprise Fellowship, and we also have the amplifier. So today we'll be talking with Jonathan Villaroel, who's an artist, and he's also our operations and logistics assistant here at ECAD Enterprises. Green Fig and Stew Chicken, that song in real good, boy. That song in real good. Green Fig have fiber in it. That's a fibrous thing. Oh, good. Yeah. I really on my fiber phase, and trying to make sure that I have some more complete meals. So that's something really good. I'm gonna pull Jonathan in on the live. Jonathan, send me a request now to join the live. Let me see if I can send you a request, Jonathan. Alright, tell me what you all had for lunch today. Jonathan, what you had for lunch today? Greetings.
Because the same both of you. I meal prep. And yesterday I had bacon shack, and today I have a bacon shack to go and eat as well.
I beg your pardon, you're eating nice. You're living in London. Bacon shack,
Yeah.
2 days in a row is crazy. Alright. Can you tilt your camera the other way? Because right now we're on your side. Yeah. Nice. Good. Alright, so as you all see, we have Jonathan here. We're just gonna wait until some more folks slide into the live, and then we'll start having conversation with Jonathan. I feel like you're trying to mama guy me with your nice food, and you're telling me it sounds better than it tastes, but I feel like it slap, I feel like it tastes real good. Right? So I think we can start. Let me stop the music here. We will start light. Yeah, so we will start very light. Jonathan, as I said before, I was telling everybody that you're an artist, and you are also the operations and logistics assistant here at ECAD. We both started working here at ECAD at the same time, and so we know that about you. But what else can you tell us about yourself? Give us a little bit more insight into who Jonathan is.
Well, for me, identity has always been something that I've been, curious about, and I've just recently started to figure out the answers to those questions. And I think who I am, aside from an artist, is someone who's passionate about not just art but life as well. I also I really really like learning new things. So I would say as well that I'm interested in learning and building an upliftment really is my being because I'm the eldest son, and being the eldest son, I've been geared to kind of be in that protective mindset and stuff like that. So that's basically who I am as a person. I have a lot of hobbies, a lot of them, but I won't go down that road right now.
No, 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 no,
Um,
no, no. We going down that road. We going down that road, right? So when you
yeah,
finish telling me what you
yeah,
was
yeah,
going
yeah.
to
We get
say,
there. Yeah.
I want to know what are those hobbies?
Okay. Yeah. And aside from that, I'm also someone who values family a lot, and I'm also someone that I consider myself to be very ambitious.
Yeah. Now, something that you said there, with regards to, being the eldest brother and then, very, very tailored towards family. And I got a taste of
Yeah,
that here because we had the exhibition with the Peruvian embassy like 2 weeks ago, and all of your siblings were here.
yeah.
Tell
That
us
was no,
how
that was no,
that wasn't all of them.
that was not all.
Okay, okay. Let's start with how many siblings you actually have, and
Okay,
what does it mean to you to be an older brother? Like, what is that experience?
I have nine siblings, including myself. One passed away recently, but
Okay,
what I would say is that older brother is a experience I can't compare to anything else because I've never had any other experience like it, and it's in a position where you have to be mindful of the things you're doing constantly because you are an example. All of us are examples to somebody, and I really just want to be an impactful example. I want to be somebody who's mindful, and I want to always be somebody who considers other options, somebody who's always willing to learn. So I try to be that way in my relationship with my siblings as well. But there is a disconnect, I'll be honest, because most of my siblings are girls. I only have one brother. And it wasn't like that until a couple of years ago when he was born. And I was the
right.
only boy. And because of that, it was kind of disconnected because we didn't really share any interests, any
Yeah,
common interests. Um, me being a boy, I wasn't really thinking in that direction of developing any interest to further our relationship. But as I get older, I realize that it actually is important to foster a relationship with them, even if we're not the
yeah,
same gender or whatever, you know.
yeah,
So I make it like my priority now to maintain a relationship with each of them individually.
yeah. And I mean, I want to say condolences to the sibling that you said you
Yeah,
recently lost. Can we talk a little bit more about those hobbies?
yeah, definitely. Um, so I've been for a while. I've been an artist for a while. Probably as far back as I could remember, I've been drawing or painting. Um, like maybe 4 years old or three around there. And honestly, I never really considered it my talent. I just did it like because I knew I could have done it. But like I was saying, as of recently, I decided that I should put more passion into these things, and not have them just be extensions. And
Yeah.
one of the things I'm also passionate about is writing. I write philosophical discourse, and I also like being outdoors a lot. I like hiking. I like going to the beach. I like relaxing and being in nature. I like meditating as well, and reading also. Reading um, classical literature and music. Like music is very important to me. Like
Yeah.
I can't say I have no creativity without music, but music is like a very crucial part in the creative process for me.
Yeah. Okay. And now, well, I am not sure, so you're gonna have to clarify for me, but I know that the fellowship started around the same time that you started working here
Yeah.
at Eastgard. What I want to know is which came first. Is it that you signed up to do the fellowship first and then you saw the call for the positions to be filled and you applied, or vice versa? Can you give us a little bit
Yeah.
about how you stumbled across it and what that process was like?
Well, it was actually vice versa. Well, first of all, I came here to ECL to do a wide bending course with Waller, on labor. And
Yeah.
from there, I met Kevin, and I seen that he had posted a job vacancy on the ECL page. So I applied to that first, and then like a couple of days after, I think like 2 days after as well, I saw he posted the fellowship. So I applied to that as well. So in my mind, I was thinking, um, you can't have too much opportunities. So if I didn't get through with one, I will at least get through with the next one. That's what's going on in my mind. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I got accepted to both of them. So now I
Yeah.
could say that I'm proud to work in this yard. And to be honest, I feel like here is a very important place to be right now for me because it's a creative hub in the sense that it brings a lot of creative minds together. And me being the age I am, I think that I'm in a very good position to learn from a lot of older people. And learning being one of the things I value a lot. I really
Yeah.
hope to like connect with everybody here, even in some way. It don't have to be business wise, but I expect to learn something from everybody here.
Yeah. I laugh a little bit at you saying that, learning is something that you just treasure because every day, folks, every day, um, Jonathan comes and Jonathan is working on a little digital drawing in front of him, and he has this very ancient sounding video playing. It sounds like history, right?
Yeah,
Different historical figures, learning about them, but figures that not very popular to me, not very popular to me. And at the same time, Jonathan is listening to music in his ears, and this is a daily thing. So I see how like even while you're working, you're trying to like absorb as much
yeah,
information as you could about different things. Now you're very young, 21. 21 is young, right? I think you're the
yeah,
youngest person in the program, if
yeah.
I'm not
I am.
mistaken. 21. Asha is 23, so you're the youngest person. I'm sure it still feels like just yesterday you came out of secondary school, right?
Yeah, literally.
When when did you decide exactly that you're going to take, when was the moment? What exactly triggered that thought for you to say, okay, hey, I'm going to take this thing a little bit more seriously, the art, the
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, all of it?
To be honest, that would have to be after my sister died because like it just knocked me into a whole different world. It opened up an entire different perspective for me. And somebody being so, she was not far in age from me. She was 25 when, no, she was 23 when she died, right? So it was like, oh shit, this could happen to me too. Like it was literally brought to my doorstep, and that happening kind of literally threw me off,
Yeah.
but not threw me off like to send money wrong part, but threw me off to like open my eyes now. And
Yeah, shake it up.
after that, I really realized that yeah, we should have a little bit of passion. Well, not a little bit, but we should have passion in everything that we do. And growing up, it was always like it was always hard to see passion in things because the environment I was in wasn't really a passionate environment, and there wasn't much elder people around me that were passionate about anything. So I had to nurture that in myself, and the only other person I could really give credit to that is my mom for nurturing my creativity. And after my sister passed, it was literally like a call back to my creativity, like come back to yourself now, okay? So I was really distracted before. I wasn't on the wrong path. I was just distracted, by the wrong things. And
Yeah.
now I feel like as if I should be creative every day, like um, it's kind of like arriving at this place where even though you know you're in a low state or you know that something's not really working out, it's about still finding the zeal to be creative in those things, because when you think about it, all of it is part of the human experience, and your reluctance to share your experience ultimately takes away from all of us, because you could be going through something that I going through, and because you won't talk about it and I won't talk
Yeah.
about it, two of us will stay in silence and suffer.
Yeah.
So all of that was just like little things that click and help me to get to where I am now.
Yeah. But that's really, really good that you have the support to want to keep pushing, even though the environment itself might
Yeah.
not be a very passionate one, you know? Um, Now something that you've said that I really like and that I've been waiting for this moment to ask a little bit more on is that life is art and art imitates life.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit more? What exactly do you mean by this philosophy of yours?
Okay. To be honest, when I create art, it's to be looked at literally and figuratively. So when I create art, it is my life force. It is me. When anybody creates anything, when you write, it is you. You are that writing, and you are in that writing. And I think that if you really look at life, not ourselves, but the activities around us, the
Yeah,
people around us, when we remove ourselves from the equation, you'll actually see that all the fantasies, all the stories that people write about actually came from real life, like regardless of how fictitious it could be. The it was founded like in real life, you know, that idea was founded in real life, and it's about understanding that the imagination have no limits. The only way you could understand that as an adult is if you um understand being a child, you know, fundamentally, like play, being able to play. And it's about keeping your imagination in that state so that anything you think about you could create and you could bring to life, you know. So
yeah,
when you think about it, we really have like a great ability as creatives. All of us as creatives have a really great ability to give life to things, to bring life to things. And when you think about it, the world, the entire world, civilization as we know it, is thanks to us creatives, because mathematics and science are creative fields as well. Everything that we touch with and interact was made by creatives. So when you think about it, and being creative is not something that limited to anyone in particular, and it's not something that you know you're not born with or anything. Because every human being is creative, even if it's innate or active. Yeah.
yeah,
So um, I think the art is life and life is art quote really just I want it to be something that you could actually see, you know. It's not just a quote. I want it to be like an eye opener where you could actually sit wherever, like you say, you sit in
yeah,
a park and you could see scenery and bring life from that scenery. Is about that. It's process, you know, the process
yeah,
of creation.
yeah. A living, breathing thing, no?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What exactly is your, definition of yourself as an artist? So, um,
Mm.
kind of try and define that for us, because I realize and that he is a heights man, right? Very,
Yeah.
very, 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 very well thought out ideas.
Okay.
So, um, I know that you do sculpting and you're a
Yeah.
visual artist. Can you extend a little bit more for us what other realms of artistry you dabble in?
Okay. So to be honest with you, everything I try at art wise, I succeed with it because I think like it's a natural gift in my case. Like not to be
Yeah,
cocky, but it's a natural gift in my case, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, it's not something that I actually until recently put my head into and started working hard on. You know, like
Yeah,
actually, yeah, and I really love to be honest. Sculpting is probably my favorite expressive form,
yeah,
because with sculpting it has this crazy way of like actually making it feel like you're given life, because instead of just drawing or painting on a flat surface, you're actually
yeah,
molding stuff with your hands. And
yeah,
I created a few stuff before and I parted with them. But honestly, like I said before, the stuff that I created is me. So you can't really part with it, once you
Yeah,
create
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But genuinely, I like my art. I like the ways I would describe it as is spirited.
Yeah,
I like that. I wanted I wanted to I wanted to be good, like the old masters and stuff in art. But
yeah,
when I think about it, their art doesn't have identity, it just has structure. And
yeah,
when you think about the people with art that have identity, when you really think about them, none of them just live long. Like look at the historical things, right? Let's just use one person, for example, John Michel Basquiat, right? I draw a lot of inspiration from his work because
yeah,
one, he's an African American, right? And it's easier to relate to somebody of my somewhat closer heritage, right? Being a part
yeah,
of that. So I think that a lot of the great minds get cut off,
yeah,
before they get a chance to develop. And it sometimes is by their own doing, sometimes it's by greater forces. But I think that being creative doesn't come without suffering. Like
yeah.
that's just the fact of it. That's just the fact of it. Because all of us is suffer, but like when you're creative, it's be enhanced for some reason. Like I can safely say that. Because I think like let's have certain people, like people in society that are not creative or not do not express their creativity. And because of
Yeah,
that, they pull everything in because they have no outlet.
yeah,
And you walking around holding everything in like that. The point of life, I think, is not fair to be tough and thing up like that. It's supposed to be soft and malleable so that you can fit into any situation and that you could mold and change. But
yeah,
the more people in society that stop themselves from experiencing these things, stop themselves from encounters with God and encounters with nature and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
You stop yourself from ultimately feeling the way it should feel, I should say.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the things that we do today are unnatural, like literally. And I think that whole creativity is a call back to natural being. Like it is our natural state to be creative
yeah.
as people because we were made by God. So
Nice. I we need to get some publications by you, Jonathan. Um, when you're approaching a new poem, hear me poem. When you're approaching a new piece,
yeah.
right? What where does it usually start? Do you start with an idea, a feeling, or something else? Where do you start?
Most of the time, honestly, it's just land in my head. Like I like to think that the pieces I create are alive themselves. So I don't name a piece until it's done. When it's done, it will tell me its name. I
Yeah,
don't I don't like to plan art particularly because I realize that intellectualizing things and structuring things takes away a lot of creative freedom. And like if I sit here and I use big words that nobody else can understand, I intellectualize what I'm saying. Nobody will
yeah,
actually relate to me on a serious level. They just leave it. Oh, he knows some big words. It's like I want to make my art an experience that everybody could understand. I don't want to make it for intellectuals. I don't want to make it
yeah,
for lower class or middle class or whatever. I want
yeah,
to I want to make my art experience that could be life changing for people. And
yeah,
I realized part of why I started doing murals is because I realized that one of the ways to do that is to make the art interactive, like by making it in
yeah,
the space itself, incorporating the art into the space. It's no longer just a piece on a wall, but you know, it's the space. The art becomes the space,
yeah.
and that's actually the motivation behind my business idea.
Okay. Don't worry, we get into that soon. We get into the business idea soon. Do you think there are any a future where you do showcases and exhibitions? Do you imagine yourself presenting your work for an audience and potentially commodifying your work, your pieces?
Yes, I do. I try to get into any exhibitions as I see, but like I said, the structure I really don't like. Like to be honest. So when they have an exhibition and they have a theme, it's hard for me to work within that
Yeah,
theme. And it's not impossible, it's just hard because where I would have loved to have creative freedom, I now have restrictions, and I don't like that. It's not. I think it's something I have to grow into, to be honest, if I want the best opportunities, because I'm
yeah,
not going to always be able to dictate that.
yeah.
But where I could dictate it is when I create my art, and in my mind, my art going to come out with what I want it to look like. So, yeah,
You know, something that I've learned in my journey as like a writer and a performer, especially where the writing is concerned, is you learn the rules, right? So the key
yeah,
thing is to learn the rules so that you could break them. You know? You just
yeah,
have to know the rules. You know them so you can break them, you know,
yeah,
and make up your own rules and bend the rules to
yeah,
fit who you are as an artist, you know. You don't always have to be too restrained. Because I mean, last week we listened to Denny saying that it had an exhibition that she did where the pieces were like around Carnival,
yeah, yeah,
Independence, I
yeah,
think,
yeah. Independence, yeah,
and she just bring a hummingbird, you know, this big
yeah,
bird, and that was the standout piece of the exhibition. I think she won something for that. So
yeah.
don't
She
be
saw it,
afraid.
saw the soul there.
Yeah, exactly. So don't be afraid to break the rules a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
As a young artist, what is one of the most difficult lessons you've learned so far?
Hmm. To be honest, I think the most difficult thing I had to learn with art is patience, because I know I'm actually very fast at working, with art, but
Yeah,
some things just take time, and speed is not always the best option, because to
yeah,
be honest, um like especially when you're sculpting, you can't want to go and touch that sculpture before the
yeah,
time, because you're going to ruin it. Like it have at each stage in the sculpture, it's have different things that you would do to it, right? So you don't want to go and add water to it when it's in at the stage, right? Because that will ruin it. And
yeah.
it's about timing and patience. I think those were the two hardest lessons I had to learn, especially with sculpting.
Okay. And what role exactly do you think art plays in community development, in space building? What role does art play for you in that?
Okay, I think that a creative space is very important, because as creatives, not all the time we're going to be in our element, and
Yeah,
creating a space that is naturally your element, naturally your environment, will encourage you to play more, in a sense. It will
yeah,
encourage you to feel more at home, and it will do wonders for you, like psychologically as well. So
yeah,
I think it come from not having a passionate home, or not
yeah,
having a passionate environment. And I think that creating a passionate environment, an environment where freedom freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and all of these different forms is
yeah,
the utmost importance. And I've personally realized, because I'm an artist, I've realized that art is my way to do that. Writing is your way to do that. But the
yeah,
point is, all of it is a creative, is all of it was sourced in creativity. All
yeah,
of the things that we do was sourced in creativity. And creating an environment, a creative environment like that, especially around young minds,
yeah,
that would be like optimal, because essentially giving them the best tools possible at the earliest stage possible. So
yeah,
you encouraging younger minds to express themselves in ways that nobody expressed themselves before, or express themselves in ways that nobody detected before,
yeah,
is what will create these passageways. Because if you think about it, um, like long ago during the Renaissance era and all of those times, right? The reason we developed the way we are now is because people chose to think differently. People weren't
Yeah.
afraid to have their own ideas. People weren't afraid to capitalize on opportunities. The reason they were like that was because their environments were that of creatives, you know. It was a creative space. And
Yeah.
if this is what I think, right? Like in Rome, they had different schools for different purposes. So they had schools for philosophy, they had schools for art, schools for everything else, right? And you as a young mind go into that space, obviously you're gonna go in that direction. It may
Yeah.
change your mind or whatever, but having the foundation in that teaching, whatever teaching it is what's
Mm-hmm.
going to propel you forward and what's going to give you insights and opportunities to change the things that nobody else would have changed before.
Yeah.
So inventing things, like being in those spaces and being in places where there's lack of something, is
Yeah.
what drives people to be inventive and be original and be creative. And if you create those spaces around the young minds, that will in turn foster those same,
Yeah.
feelings towards not just development and creativity, but towards humans as well and towards yourself. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's a word that keeps coming up, and I'm gonna ask because I know what the answer going to be. I privileged to know the answer, but I'm asking so that we could all kind of get some
Yeah.
insight. Now, you join the fellowship, and we know you're an artist, but what is, the purpose of the fellowship, for those of you who don't know, is so that persons can start to develop or make improvements to their creative social enterprises, right? What is your creative social enterprise, or what ideas do you have for a creative social enterprise?
Okay. So my idea is a creative space making idea. So what it will basically be is it will include architecture. So we use innovation in architecture and um, flora, fauna to uplift species, and as well as using my art as well to do community murals and uplift the overall environment, so that Trinidad and by extension the world is a place where we could feel creative, is a place where we could feel, at home and safe. And a lot of the I think a lot of the problems in society stem from the environment, and it's because of our impact on the environment. Our natural impact on the environment is not a beautifying one. Like
Yeah.
it's one of degradation, it's one of pollution, and that's
Yeah.
something I want to change. Like we should seek to add to the world, not take away from it. And we're speaking about sustainability, and that's a really huge thing in this entire fellowship. And being sustainable in your practices as a human being is very important, because it's not just your life you're endangering by not doing so, it's others as well.
Yeah.
And I think uplifting a space can go a long way in changing our attitude towards the environment.
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to litter in front of a national monument or something that's awe-inspiring. Like
Yeah.
people that could go to the beach and leave their garbage there and think them soulless. They have to be soulless because, like, to be honest, like you go to a natural site and you're so taken away by this wonder and this beauty, and you leave your garbage right there. Like
Yeah.
genuinely, we need to be like more connected to our culture and our environment in particular. And
Yeah.
I particularly, for one, I like being outdoors. I like being in nature, and I feel unnatural sitting in a house. I feel
Yeah.
unnatural bathing in a shower. I feel like I should be in a spring swimming somewhere. Like genuinely.
Yeah.
I don't think we was meant to come here and work this hard. Like I'm not saying that work is anything bad, because you need discipline. You need the discipline of work, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that God's intention for us was not this great suffering and this trying to figure out something at every turn. God's
Yeah.
intention for us was creativity, us being creative, us sharing His will and all that, and being in contact with one another. Being, because we're social beings. Even if
Yeah.
you want to be alone, nobody could stay alone. We need to interact with some person at some point. And our
Yeah.
interaction with people, our interaction with the environment is what I think we ultimately need to change. That should be the first thing we need to change if we want to change the world. Because we are part of it, the environment is part of it, and society is part of it. So at the
Yeah.
community level, that's the most impactful place you could be to start making changes.
Yeah. Now, Nicole said it best when she said that, to litter in your country, to throw a piece of garbage on the
Yeah,
ground, is to lack self-love.
yeah, that was
And
true.
if you don't have self-love, then you can't love country, then you can't love culture, like in the truest
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, you
Um,
can't.
so yeah, that's something that stood out for me with and you're almost echoing the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, is that type of soulless type of act for real, for real. But so what do you expect or hope to get from the fellowship to help build
Honestly,
this whole idea of space building and all of the things you mentioned before?
this whole thing for me, like I said, being at the side right now is a very important stage in my life because this is not just a job, it's like an opportunity to connect with so much different people from so much different backgrounds and
Yeah,
gain new ideas. Like honestly, it has so much mind here. I would love to work with everybody here, like honestly, on one thing at least once,
yeah,
because just interacting with people is an opportunity to get some new information, and
yeah,
that information could go a long way in me developing my business. And
yeah,
that connection, building a connection with somebody like say any of the other fellows, that could go a long way as well because one hand can clap, it's
yeah,
two of us and it's all of us here working together. And the thing that we all have in common is that we're all creatives.
yeah,
And as creatives, we should have each other's back. We should put ours, put each
yeah,
other on, you know what I mean?
yeah. So as we done your jump here, see, I'm a questions you jump ahead since we already talk about you. You can't collaborate with every. I mean, you could, but
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you had to choose one person who, and it could be in the fellowship, outside of the fellowship, doesn't matter. One person who like you're dying to collaborate with, who would that person be and why?
Um, One person I would like to collaborate with is a local artist here in Trinidad, Cindyata. I like his art because it resembles a lot of the art of the people I like originally. So I like artists like William Blake. And you might not know the names, but a lot of these artists work are strongly abstract. One, two, they have a lot of religious context to it, and three, a lot of it is based on culture or identity. And
Yeah,
why I like his work is that it has this abstract element to it, but while being abstract, it also maintains the human forms. And you should know Pablo Picasso, the founder of Cubism. So um, his art and the other's art is a lot like, um, in my mind, I compare it to Pablo Picasso because of the shapes and the forms and the irregular. It kind of just it takes a regular picture like me here right now, and then it just renders it down to these most simple shapes, forms, and colors. And I like that. I like being able to express beauty in the simplest way possible, in the least possible. And
yeah,
to me, that's something that's a gift. That's something that comes with seasoning and time. So yeah.
yeah. As you talk about Picasso there, I can't help but think that he's an old thief who stole his ideas from.
Yeah.
All right, we will talk about that another time, right? But as we on this topic, what is one piece of art that you've made so far in your career that you feel has impacted you and maybe somebody viewing it the most?
Um, to be honest, I think my art is impactful, but I feel like through writing I could do a lot more when it comes to like making gears turn,
Yeah,
because I've been looking at recently exploring different media because um, there's one form which is visual, and then there's auditory, and then there's olfactory, and all the other senses. And
yeah,
I think like the way to get the best reaction out of everyone or anyone is to combine as much of those senses, sensory
yeah,
as possible. So with me painting, honestly, I feel like painting doesn't do it. Sculpture is more interactive, and therefore it has it has a better feel to it in my mind because it's coming at you. It's not just flat. And
Yeah.
when you take it further, music is also a form of art, and that is very like I listen to some songs and it's making me feel some crazy things. Like, to be honest, like, so it's just like I want to explore how I could use all of these to my advantage. How I could combine
Yeah.
music and visual effects and all of these. Like, honestly, I'm considering doing animation in UTT
Yes.
because I want to blend all of these aspects together. I want to
Right.
get the best outcome out of all the creative out of all the expressive forms. And if I could honestly, if I could make a movie or a game or something, I would, because then it would combine all the forms,
Yeah.
it would combine all of them. And that, in my mind, I think movies have more impact on us than music does. And because the things we look at, and music, not music, movies actually, they have this way of like suggesting, you know,
Yeah.
and it's in a way that as the onlooker can't help but think about it further, even after the movie gone. The movie's still on your mind. Like, songs
Yeah.
is be on your mind, but it's not the same effect as being able to see it, hear it, and interact with it. So
Yeah.
my journey now is to figure out how to combine all these things with
Yeah.
my personal favorite, which is sculpting. How to combine all these things to create something like that. And I would say the most touching or interactive piece I created so far was a sculpture, and it was something I did for CSEC. It was um it was a copy of my hands, two of my hands like this, and they were black. I'll probably have a picture. I'll send it to you personally. But um, what I really liked about it was because it was just at the beginning of my journey where I was trying to figure out who I was and identity and all that.
Yeah.
And I like sculpting hands in particular. I don't know why, but every time I pick up a block of clay or something, that's what this comes out of it. And
Yeah.
I think that for me, my hands say a lot about me because they are the hands of creatives. They are the hands of a creator. And I myself, it's not always in my nature to be creative because I have self-destructive habits sometimes. All of us have self-destructive habits sometimes.
Yeah.
But that first piece, that first sculpture, helped me to see myself more on the creative side because even though you are, you know, do the duality of man, right? You know what that statement means, right? So even though all of us have that condition in us, it's really our mindset that determines who we are or what side we go to. So if I
Yeah.
spend more time thinking about the negative things, I'm going to become a more negative person. And that sculpture helped me to think more positively in the sense that I could actually look at my hands and see that this life comes from this, life comes from this. So
Yeah.
I could be proud of something like this. I could look at it as a gift.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. Um, I guess the question that I'm going to ask, which you answer a little further, a little earlier, is who would you compare your work to? Like, who do we call you? Young Picasso, young Basquiat? Whose style do you mimic?
Okay, so before I said, like when I was younger, I really wanted to be like the greater artists, like Michelangelo and all of these people. But I think now that identity is the most important thing an artist could have, not skill. Like, if you could look at something and paint it brick for brick, exactly as it is. In my opinion, I don't want to discredit anybody, but it's more plagiarism than art. Because in my mind, even if you, okay, like just for example, Renoir, our artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, he would look at sceneries, just like Cindy Arthur, like I told you. They would look at scenes, that actual real life scenes, and depict it in a non traditional sense.
Yeah.
that is art because you are changing an element of it, you know. If you really in an element as well, it is art. But in my mind, it takes something more to be able to add character to just what you're seeing
Yeah.
plainly, you know. And that's
Yeah.
what I deem as creativity. That's what I, you know, try to foster
Yeah.
in myself. So originality is something I've been recently looking into. Like
Yeah.
probably like 6 months ago, I decided that I don't want my art to look like anything anymore. I don't want my
Yeah.
art to be I don't want it to be
Compared?
recognized in a no, I don't want it to be recognized in the sense that I want it to be something that you have to engage your thinking for, you know, like
Yeah.
you have to engage your feeling for something like that, or something that engages your feeling and engages your thinking. So that has become more the aim of my art as opposed to sticking with a traditional style or with a particular look. So I really now just want to relay a feeling more
Right.
than an image, you know. And
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to figure out. And that's why I really think the best way to do that is with some type of theater or some type of, you know, but
Yeah.
um, visually as well. You have to be really good to be able to invoke some powerful emotion by just visual aesthetics. So yeah.
Right. But in my mind, and I just gonna play devil's advocate here, um, do we still not develop our own individual style in that process? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because we have a sculpture of yours in the back by the courtyard, and you're doing a new one on the gate, and there are
hmm,
similarities in those two
yeah,
that I'm
yeah,
seeing. There's, I feel there is a part of Jonathan. There's a Jonathanness that will always exist in it,
yeah,
regardless of what it is. Like I think if I get to see your art enough, I could be in Africa and a piece of your art in Africa with me. And
yeah.
and,
I know,
and
I
I
know.
haven't been introduced to it formally by you, but I think I might be able to be like, oh, that look like Jonathan's work, boy. Like,
Yeah,
really? You know? There's a essence that I think there's an essence that would be a part of the art that makes people feel connected to you through the art,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. That
Um,
is true.
cool. So we see, yeah. All right, cool. What advice would you give to young, emerging creatives and entrepreneurs like yourself?
I would say the most important thing is dedication. One, because once you realize that you're gifted at something, or once you realize that you're passionate about something, you shouldn't waste any time in attending to that, whatever it is. Because basically, if you know, Deneka, that you feel your absolute best when you're writing, whereas I write every day. It's just like common sense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you dedicate yourself to the thing that improves you the most, the thing that makes you feel the best, you will just constantly keep improving in regardless if it's in that field or not. You know,
Yeah,
dedicate yourself. Like honestly, a lot of people can't dedicate themselves, and that's why they choose other options before they arrive at the end of whatever they are supposed to achieve.
yeah,
So I think that's a very important thing. I've been dedicated to art, like even at times when I didn't consider myself an artist, I still drew, I still thought creatively, you know, and
mm-hmm.
um, in my mind, dedication and patience.
Yeah,
You're not gonna be good at everything like on the first try
yeah,
because even though you might be gifted, you're not great. We're not great, you know. And we have so much. All of us, we just basically just beginning our craft, you know. And
yeah,
if we could have lived longer, I couldn't imagine the kind of stuff we would be able to create. But you need to be patient with yourself. I think that you need to let yourself mature, let yourself grow. And I should take my own advice. But to be honest, it's hard to be patient sometimes because you know we're in a situation that affecting us right now, and right now that's the worst possible thing that could ever happen, and it's hard to see past that. But
yeah,
regardless if we can't see past it or not, life goes on. Like the
Yeah.
day is going to progress, you're going to forget about that feeling. Or if
Yeah.
you don't forget about it, that same day you're going to leave, like eventually.
Yeah.
So being patient with yourself and understanding that you're growing too. Like even when you're old, when you're 90 years old, you're still living, you're still growing. So
Yeah. Cool. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the floor for some questions. So we have a few people on here. Send Jonathan some questions. He said a lot. He said a lot of things. I feel like it's a lot for you to digest, and I'm sure some questions may have come out of his responses to my questions. Right? So drop some questions in the comment section, and I will ask Jonathan, and hopefully he will answer them to the best of his ability. Whoa, we have a question already. Will Jonathan at some point in time consider teaching someone, teaching others, like the art of molding clay, painting, sculpting, all of that?
yeah, I will before I knew that I wanted to be an artist, I wanted to be a teacher. Because I realized that um I just wanted to be in a position to mold minds and to mold spirits and and perspectives. And
Yeah,
when I was younger, I thought the best way to do that was being a teacher because a lot of teachers influenced me, and I really they were really like the little lights along the way for me, and that helped me a lot. So I was always thinking like to be in a position where I could help other people like that. Um, it's like my ultimate goal. I just want to help people, bro. Like to be
yeah,
honest, like to be really honest. Like even if it's not like help you physically do something, I just want
yeah,
to help you arrive to a different understanding. I want to help you appreciate something more in your life, and I want to help you so that we can help each other, so that we can help
yeah,
everybody. Like literally, if we stop thinking about the I part, it will be better for all of us. Like genuinely. I even consider politics, like to be honest, because I was thinking what is the best position I could be in to help the most people? And like
yeah,
genuinely, but I read somewhere that somebody say politics have a mind of its own, and I believe that to be honestly true, because everything has a mind of its own, and I don't want to be in a situation where, in trying to help someone, I lost myself or I lose myself.
yeah,
So to be safe for me, I stick with the thing that I know closest, that is closest
yeah.
to me, which is art. So I'll try to use my art to help people as well. And if that means teaching them my art, I will do it.
So your answer is yes, right?
Yeah.
So Alicia, he's still a Padawan, but I feel like he's a different kind of Padawan. So feel free to connect with him a little bit more. Do you experience art block? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, it's experience art block. Everybody's all artists is great, honestly. But use experience writers block and
Um, I don't experience writer's block. I experience perfection blocks. That's what I
okay,
call it.
I understand that. Yeah, I
So
understand that.
when I have like an idea in my head and I want to, sometimes, even though I know the opposite, I just want the poem to come out exactly how I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it in
yeah,
my
yeah.
head. And when it don't come out that way, it stops me. Well, I stop myself from
Yeah.
writing it.
Yeah, I know
So
what you mean.
perfection
Yeah.
block. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's something that honestly what the solution I think to any block at anything is finding another source. So for me, because I'm creative, when I can't draw,
Yeah.
when I have artist block, I go and write. And
Yep.
my writing will is still another form of creativity, and it will give me to other one. When
Yeah.
I can't write and I can't draw, I'll go outside and I'll be in nature because that's
Yeah.
something else that is in common with creativity. If I can't
Yeah.
have access to any of those things, I'll meditate and I'll take myself to those places mentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really, to be honest, it's about not dwelling on the fact that you're blocked,
Yeah.
because typically when you meet a block in anything in your life, it have some other part. That's never the end of it. That's
Yeah.
never the end. let's have some other parts you could take. And honestly, it just takes a different perspective to take that part.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to be open. That's why all of us should be open to trying and experiencing new things, because
Yeah.
you could have it have this thing that says it have the things you know, have the things you don't know, and then have the things you don't know, right? So
Yeah.
the more things you find out, the the more chances you have of getting out of the don't know hole. So
Yeah.
just go out there and try and find out new things, like even if it seemed to be foolish or uninteresting. I think honestly, what I realize is that if I find one thing and I observe it very closely, I take in everything in it, like to the smallest detail, it becomes the most interesting thing ever. Like anything, you can think about anything and
Yeah.
just take it apart mentally, go down to the smallest detail, look at the process of how it was put together, look at where it came from, think about the journey it had, from being an idea to being an actual physical
Yeah.
manifestation. So honestly, it's just like an endless pool that you need to learn to drink from and not study the fact that you're thirsty and the water right in front of you.
Yeah. Prophet Jonathan, boy. um, but I agree. I agree wholly. I also have a lot of outlets, and when I feel a little stuck in one, I refer to another one. So I might pick up the camera and I might film something and put something together, because do producing videos, editing, that's art too.
Yeah,
I might paint as well, but I haven't painted in a while, in a long
mhm,
while.
yeah,
But I just like Jonathan, anything I try, I'll be good at.
yeah. It's honestly a blessing. Like I can't even claim it as my own because it's like where I learned this. Where you get
Exactly.
this from to do this? So you just have to admit, like it didn't come from you, bro.
Yeah, it's something beyond for sure. We
Yeah.
have any more questions? If you have any questions, for those of you who might have just joined, we interviewing Jonathan as a part of the Amplify Connect Creative Social Enterprise Fellowship. I have two bonus questions, Jonathan, as we wrap up. Um, the first one is, what song is the soundtrack of your life right now, Mr. I Love Music?
To be very honest, that song is mostly the song that is live on repeat, but for the past few days, I've been listening to a handful of different genres because I've been having mixed emotions about a lot of things. So it's been classical music. The name of the song is Live Also Claire de Lune. Um,
I love Claire de Lune, by the way.
right,
It's
perfect,
amazing.
perfect, right. Okay, so that one. Um, I like I like indie music, a lot of indie music.
Yeah.
Um, Reggae as well. Um, although they know before I cut grass, but before I was a Rasta, so I still listen to reggae honestly because I like the feel that the music gives. Any music that literally is uplifting in a sense, or to be honest, most of the things I interact with I deem them like that. But I like things that help me to understand myself more. So
Yeah.
any song that I listen to, I always listen. I always look for a song that relates to my movement, my current movement the
Yeah.
most.
And your second bonus question is, if you had to get a superpower, what would it be and why?
Hmm. To be honest, it will have to be mind control. Like I have to admit that it will have to be mind control because um if um if everybody like on Earth was connected, like if all of us was actually one person, I would
Yeah.
never hate myself. So therefore I wouldn't hate anyone. So if I had the power of mind control, I would make everybody on Earth see themselves as the other person. So nobody will hurt anybody unless you're insane and you're hurting yourself. Then we'll throw you in an asylum. But honestly, that's I just want peace. Like honestly, world peace and peace for
Yeah.
myself, peace for all of us, peace of mind and peace in life. Because life already is so hard. Like honestly, And the
Yeah.
things we do, the things we tell ourselves, the things we tell other people, the things we don't tell other people, the things we don't tell ourselves, just makes it harder, like honestly. And we need to be more forgiving to ourselves. We need to be
Yeah.
more lenient to other people. And we need to definitely be more understanding of other cultures and perspectives. And I think honestly that we need to come away from looking at violence as a solution to anything, like honestly. And yes, we feel angry, all of us will have violent emotions or violent thoughts, but
Yeah.
we need to understand that those parts of ourselves is the parts that geared towards destruction. And like I mentioned earlier, we all have that nature because it's duality. So
Yeah.
we need to actively choose not to engage in the destructive parts. And we actively choose to do that by actively choosing to engage in the creative parts. So
Yeah.
literally, if you are a creative person, you need to understand that you are literally gifted. You are a gift to humanity, which is why you're put here to share that. You know,
Yeah.
you get this talent from God knows, well, obviously we know where, but yeah, you get this talent and you put it here to share it. And
Yeah.
not sharing it, regardless of what your talent is selfish, in my opinion. You know,
Okay.
like you should make an attempt to connect with another human being, even if it's one person. You
Yeah.
should have one genuine attempt to connect with somebody in your life, and that's why I think it's important.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up um the questions from me at least. I'm leaving it open for a few seconds if you all have any final comments that you all want to send Jonathan's way, final questions you want to send Jonathan's way. This is the time to do it. Um, Alicia said that she's going to link you up to meet Sundiata at one of the figure drawing sessions he attends.
Uh,
And she says you have wisdom way past your age. Um,
I
and
actually met him
also,
already, you know. I met him a couple of times, and I texted him and I was telling him that his art is very inspirational to me and so on. And
yeah,
anytime I go to any art store, I run into him or whatever, I'll always mention, I always speak to him. And um, honestly, I wanted to I wanted to go to one of the figure drawing classes they have because I think it's at Fitzroy where they host it.
yeah,
And I just need to get, like honestly, I just need to get in that space because like ECR is my playground because you know you all are my creative neighbors and ECR is my playground. I need
yeah,
to think of Trinidad as my playground and I need to think of that circle of artists, you know, all of them as my, you know, playmates as well.
yeah.
Because it is true, like we are also creatives, that's what we share in common, and we also share the fact that we live in Trinidad together. So we should connect and we should build each other up. You know, that should be the aim of every person to connect and build each other up. Build yourself up and build another person up.
Well, you should make an attempt, don't stick,
Yeah,
don't
definitely.
hesitate,
Yeah,
definitely reach out and try to connect with those persons. But yeah, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up, Jonathan. Like this was a really, really beautiful, insightful interview. This is probably the second time I hear you talk this much.
yeah.
Um,
I'll tell you, like honestly, I'm not really I'm not really introverted, you know. It's just that for me to talk a lot, it have to be the things I'm passionate about.
be
Like
careful.
honestly, I will
Yeah.
be silent otherwise because my mind will be occupied thinking about something I'm passionate about. That's why I be quiet. So, you know,
And that I'm realizing more and more. Just talk to
yeah,
Jonathan about the things Jonathan like, and Jonathan will
yeah,
talk
yeah,
your
yeah.
ear,
You have to tell me
which
shut up after that.
which is great. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good conversation. I feel like anybody who listened to this conversation between you and myself, you all should come away feeling a little bit inspired. Jonathan is 21 and he's figuring it out, but it have so much he's already figured out,
Yeah,
and a lot we could learn a lot from each other, regardless of age and backgrounds and all of that. So, Jonathan, is just to encourage you to keep pushing and keep looking for different ways to be creative and,
yeah,
let your dreams live outside your head a little bit more. And you know, we here, you know, Jonathan right in the room behind me, you know, Jonathan not far. Jonathan right there. So Jonathan, it was nice having this conversation
Yeah,
with
it
you.
was.
Um I really appreciate your openness and just your willingness to share and inspire others. Guys, we're going to hear a lot more from Jonathan. Right now, Jonathan is working on us a new sculpture. We're going to see what that looks like very soon. I think by next week it should be ready for us to share it with the world.
Yeah, maybe.
Um, yeah, so thank you all for joining the live and keeping us company here. Let me just read a comment quick by Nika. Nika, totally vibing with the spiritual depth that Jonathan exudes, soul stirring kind of stuff. Keep being in capital letters. Keep being you and keep creating, Jonathan. Thank you everybody for joining us here today. We are not going to have, I don't think we're going to have any lives next week. So y'all will have to check us the week after. Of course, follow us, keep following our journey on Instagram. The flyers will be posted for who will be on here next. Enjoy your weekend. Because today is Saturday, yeah? So enjoy
Yeah.
your weekend. And until we connect again, stay good. Good vibes. Bye.
All right. Bye.